So good morning, everyone, and let us pray. So as you breathe this morning, I invite you to give thanks for a new day of living. And as you breathe, be conscious that every breath you take is God's yes to you. That each new day is filled with moments to be kind, thankful, giving, free. Breathe in the grace. I have this moment, I have this day, with love as my teacher, who shows me the way to be kind, to be thankful, to be giving and free. I have this moment, I have today, and that's enough for me. I have this moment, I have this day, with love as my teacher, who shows me the way to be kind, to be thankful, to be giving and free. I have this moment, I have today, and that's enough for me. I bought a book some years ago titled The 5 Invitations. And the book is about what death can teach us about living fully. And in it was a powerful story about forgiveness that I had forgotten about until I was recently preparing for a presentation. The story is deeply moving because the author talks about how sometimes all we can do in the face of horrible sadness, injustice, or trauma is to bear witness. Bearing witness personally and communally serves as a way to keep vigil or stand in solidarity. What is happening in our nation and world today feels like that to me. It sometimes feels like all we can do is bear witness and hold the pain. Lent can be a time for bearing witness, and for examining our own experiences of extending forgiveness and being forgiven. For bearing witness to the grace of God that breaks into our lives, sometimes unexpectedly, as we embrace a person a moment, some anguish, fear, or even the unimaginable. And so in that spirit this morning, I would like to share this story that is in this book, The 5 Invitations. And this man, Frank Olszewski, is the name of the author, and he does facilitation of different groups and of grief groups. And he was in Germany at Birkenau and Auschwitz. And while he was in Birkenau, they were meditating and praying and chanting the names of those who had died there. And so the group that he facilitated included a woman who had been a child in the camps, as well as the sons and daughters of former prisoners and Nazi soldiers. So Frank goes on to talk about how one night he was feeling very restless, and he decided to go down to the camp at Birkenau and meditate in one of the children's barracks. And he talks about how it was a long, grim building that had once been a horse barn. And as he was there, he heard someone else enter the building, and it was a woman from the group. And she began to cry and scream in the darkness. So he says how he got up and sat beside her, and she just kept wailing, and he'd never heard such sounds, and how the crying and the wailing went on for almost the whole night, and no words were spoken. He says there isn't anything you can say when someone is experiencing such anguish. All you can do is bear witness. So as light began to streak and break the dawn, he returned, they hugged goodbye. Later that day, he flew to Berlin and was going to do this workshop on grief and forgiveness. And as the workshop was ending, a day or two later, a woman in the very back of the room stood up and said, "I've been listening to you talking about forgiveness, but my father was a prisoner in the concentration camps, and I can't forgive his killers. My heart is like ice." The whole room went silent. Again, the only appropriate response was to bear witness. But then a woman on the other side of the room raised her hand to speak. She stood and said, "My heart is like ice too. It feels like a stone. My father was a Nazi officer who was guard in the camps. I know that he killed people. I can't forgive him." Silence. Then these two women did the bravest thing I have ever seen. They made their way across the large conference hall of 200 people and embraced. They didn't say a word. They didn't have to. They just held each other. Their actions were a clear recognition that they were no longer alone in their pain. For that moment, their suffering was all our suffering. I invite you to take a few moments to reflect on moments you've been called to bear witness, or how you have experienced the grace of God in forgiving another or being forgiven. who shows me the way to be kind, to be thankful, to be giving and free. I have this moment, I have today, and that's enough for me. I have this moment, I have this day, with love as my teacher, who shows me the way to be kind, to be thankful, to be giving and free. I have this moment, I have today, and that's enough for me. And so may we move into our day forgiving and being forgiven. Have a blessed day, everyone.